Korea Update, the 20th of November 2025. South Korean public sentiment toward the recently announced joint fact sheet with the United States is cautiously optimistic. Many citizens welcome clearer security and economic commitments, given that roughly 9 out of 10 South Koreans view the U.S. as their most important ally. At the same time, the broader APEC summit hosted in Gyeongju drew mixed reactions. While the opportunity for South Korea to play a central diplomatic role was viewed positively, local protests and rising anti-China sentiment ahead of the summit exposed underlying societal fault lines and tempered enthusiasm. According to multiple recent polls, Lee Jae-myung's approval rating is currently in the 59% range, with one survey reporting 59% approval and a 32% negative rating. Another poll, taken on 14 November, placed his approval around 61%. Former Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-ahn was arrested on November 12, 2025, in connection with the December 3 martial law attempt, facing accusations of inciting insurrection and urging unconstitutional emergency measures. But a Seoul court soon rejected his detention warrant and released him to be investigated without custody. Former Justice Minister Park Sung-jae, also tied to the martial law plan for allegedly coordinating prosecutorial mobilization and post-declaration controls, likewise avoided pre-trial detention when the court again denied an arrest warrant, ruling that prosecutors had not demonstrated sufficient risk of flight or evidence destruction. In contrast, former National Intelligence Service Director Cho Tae-yong was taken into custody after a court approved his arrest on charges including dereliction of duty, violating the NIS Act, and destroying or concealing evidence related to the same martial law scheme, with the court citing credible concerns over potential evidence tampering. The first instance verdict in the Daejang-dong development case concluded that the project had been structured in a way that allowed private actors to siphon off excessive profits that should have accrued to the public. Key private sector figures such as Kim Man-bae and Yoo Dong-yu received 8-year prison sentences along with significant forfeiture orders, including more than 420 billion won in Kim's case. The court, however, ruled that there was insufficient evidence to prove that then Seongnam Mayor, now President Lee Jae-myung, personally received bribes or illicit benefits. Judges noted that he neither accepted money nor had detailed knowledge of the profit distribution mechanisms used by the private consortium. Making matters more controversial, the prosecution, against norms, chose not to appeal several portions of the ruling, effectively ending the possibility of a more expansive judicial review of higher-level political responsibility. This outcome has generated substantial public anger. Many South Koreans believe the scale of the financial losses to the public far exceeds the penalties imposed, especially given widespread claims that private operators extracted profits in the trillions of won. The prosecution's decision not to appeal has intensified suspicions of selective justice, reinforcing the perception that accountability stops short of political elites. The relatively small amount of state asset recovery, combined with attempts by some defendants to unfreeze funds, has further eroded public confidence. For many citizens, the Daejang-dong case has become a symbol of deep structural flaws in Korea's public-private development governance, a reminder of how insider networks can profit while taxpayers shoulder the consequences. The controversy is now less about the technical details of the trial and more about the broader crisis of trust in institutions, fairness, and the rule of law. The Lee Jae-myung administration's initiative to root out insurrectionist public officials has sparked intense controversy, particularly because the plan allows digital forensic checks of civil servants' personal phones and devices across dozens of ministries. While the government argues that the December 3 martial law attempt exposed deep institutional vulnerabilities and that internal reforms are needed to prevent subversion, critics warn that the policy resembles a sweeping political purge, masquerading as administrative cleanup. Opposition parties, civil liberties groups, and many public sector unions argue that the program presumes guilt among more than 1 million civil servants, violates privacy, threatens administrative neutrality, and risks empowering the executive to punish ideological dissent rather than genuine misconduct. For its detractors, the combination of compelled phone searches, broad investigative authority, and vague criteria for insurrectionist sympathies represents a dangerous overreach with long-term implications for democratic governance and rule of law norms in South Korea.